Hello and welcome to today's Leader Talk on how AI is becoming the cog in the wheel of India's digital revolution. According to NASSCOM research, artificial intelligence is expected to unlock economic opportunities worth $500 billion in the Indian cortex, contributing to almost 10% of India's ambitious goal of a $5 trillion economy. The role of data and AI in Indian context is particularly large, covering the main pillars of the Indian economy, such as financial services, agriculture, logistics, mobility, healthcare. And while advanced analytics has already reached mainstream in India, there is a shift towards cognitive computing that leverages AI to inform business decisions, particularly prescriptive and predictive analytics. To talk about AI with me today, I have Deepak Jha, who is the general manager and head AIPF at NEC Corporation India. Appointed in 2017, Deepak spearheads the artificial intelligence platform for the company. Deepak has been associated with NEC since 2013 and has various leadership positions. He has been instrumental in the launch of the Center of Excellence for Analytics Platforms and Solutions in India. He is qualified in big data, IoT, cloud, pre-sales, solution design, and global business development. Deepak is a seasoned IT professional with about 14 years of extensive work experience. Over the years, Deepak has worked on varied streams such as strategic planning, process improvement, product solution offering, risk mitigation, etc. Prior to NEC, Deepak worked with diverse corporations including British Telecom, HP, Sonata, Symantec, and Bharti. Deepak holds a bachelor's degree in information technology and an MBA from Pune University, and in his long career, he has been recognized with the Manager of the Quarter Award, Technical Wizard Award, and NEC Global Partner Award, to name a few. Welcome to the show today, Deepak.
Thanks, Achyuta. Thanks for having me in this discussion.
Thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Deepak, we've got a set of questions for you. I'll just straight away get into the thick of things. The first question from my side, Deepak, is with India brimming with industries that are shaping the decade, what role does AI constitute for services and functions according to you?
Thanks. So, Achyuta, as you rightly started saying, quoting a report from NASSCOM that AI has potential to add close to $500 billion to Indian GDP by 2025. That is one part of it. But if you also see, it is going to also support a lot of social initiatives around growth, some of the impact which we had on the pandemic side of it, some measures around that, and also, a lot of talent pool which is coming out of, all the research work which was done by NASSCOM in this area. Now, coming back to the question, if you see the last decade or so, right, AI as a technology has made a lot of quantum leap, not only in terms of the ease of uses, but also in the range of application which is span across different verticals, right? And now, if you see the way AI solutions are being used, it is cutting across horizontal, right? So you name the industry, you name the vertical, AI solution is being used. Now, the advantage of AI, especially for the services or other areas, right? Other functions, basically it helps you automate and simplify the overall task at every level, be it for your KYC verification at one level, or, at the same time, automating your complex entire manufacturing process, at the scale, right? So that way it becomes very, ubiquitous, right? And then when we go deeper into AI part of it, right, it becomes one of the indispensable element where, with the delivery of the services, which, in the areas where you can have citizen services coming on board, you basically help, different business functions, be it in banking, be it in retail, telcos, etc., improvising their services level, their customer reach, their customer management, knowing their customer better, etc. So overall, if you see from the technology landscape perspective, AI cut across different verticals with varied segment of the solutions. And while we talked about some of the enterprise adoption of the AI, what we are witnessing and what we are seeing is that government is another area where a lot of projects is coming, where government sees that AI is one of the technology which will change lot many things across the world, across the India, and that's where they are adopting AI very fast. And I think it is one of the fastest adopting industry in our opinion, where any project which is coming has some blend of the adoption of AI, right? And that's where a lot of initiative was also being taken. So coming back to the question, in the services part of it, yes, we are seeing there is a huge potential and huge growth, of adoption in AI, and people leveraging that into various level in the organization as well as for their customer engagements.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think we are in complete agreement. I think the usage of AI across verticals is something that we are also seeing. And, what we have seen is that often AI has become the first technology that many of the organizations, whoever is attempting to build a digital transformation practice or, trying to imbibe emerging technologies into their system, right? I mean, that's the first step for most organizations, get in and get on top of how you can use AI ML to your maximum advantage.
Yeah.
My second question is kind of related to the first one, right? Deepak, can you highlight the notion of AI as a service that can elevate the way we view productivity across verticals? I mean, AI typically companies tend to look at it as a product, look at it as an in-house development, but to really democratize AI, do you think AI as a service is something that can be looked at? I mean, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, I think this is one area where you will see in coming days, you will see more and more adoption happening, and many organization is looking for the solution, which is on the services side of it. Like we have seen the adoption of cloud, and with cloud, you have seen the adoption of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And similarly, we are talking about AI as a service model, right? Service industry, particularly, if you see at this point of time, different verticals, different organizations are adopting AI, which is the deployment of that AI is happening on predominantly either on-prem or cloud, where particularly, organizations are trying to identify a particular problem and solving those problem areas, right? But the way we are seeing the adoption, if you at this point of time, 70 to 80% organizations, especially large and medium scale organization, has started leveraging AI in one or other ways into their day-to-day operations, right? And the moment these adoptions will become more and more, right, we will see the need of AI as a service coming into picture, where organization will start leveraging the services model of the AI, right? And some of the studies says that, by 2025, the AI as a service model will grow at least by 7 times, right? Whatever market size which you are seeing today, it will go 7 times larger in next 3 to 4 years, right? So particularly what I'm trying to highlight is it has potential to elevate the operation and then overall productivity of enterprise, that is, which AI is going to enhance a lot. And when people will have option to scale or option to quickly onboard AI in the service model, you will see adoption will increase and it will get manifold. So there are organizations which may be using AI for one or two particular problem statement. When it will become commoditized, where it is easily available in the service model, they will quickly start enabling that into their operations and start adopting. As an organization, we are also thinking on the same line, where some of the solutions and stack which we are building in, how we can build that into some of the marketplace, right, where it will become much easier for people to adapt, where we don't have to reach to the people to take those services. They will have those options available as a service model. If they see potential, they can quickly do a quick POCs and then leverage it for their use. So that way it will become more plug and play, right? And it can become more, it can create more impact on democratizing the and availability of the AI solutions for different organizations. And, maybe the next extension of that would be that currently large enterprise or, medium scale enterprises primarily adopting most of the AI scenarios or AI solutions. You will start seeing the small businesses are also adopting AI more often. So that is how we think that AI as a service, which is going to play a role in the market.
Thanks, Deepak. I think great to see alignment of thoughts and great to see NEC looking at this opportunity. In fact, some of the recent insights that we have put out on this topic says that, the global AI as a service market is estimated to exceed. So I think this is pretty good. My third question is around what are some critical areas, according to you, when we adopt AI, we should keep in mind, we should consider? I mean, what are the critical issues that we should keep in mind before adopting AI? I mean, can you highlight some of the ones that you may think are critical?
I think there are few, and first and foremost is always data, right? While AI brings a lot of visibility, transparency, and it also helps identifying the gaps or automating more and more the processes, or helping organization in terms of getting better insight, and at certain times helping organization to take certain informed decision also, right? What is important, or the critical area on any AI adoption is how is your data available, right? When so one of the most critical aspect is data. The availability of the data, or the data siloed, or if the data is not accurate, or if data is not relevant, right? Or if it is not properly structured, in that case all your algorithm will not give you the right result which basically organizations is looking for, right? So the first and foremost point for any adoption for the AI, and that is very, very important for any organization, is always start with data, availability of the data. And when we talk about availability of data, it is not just that data which is available with the organization. It has to be relevant, it has to be accurate, it has to be cleansed, it has to be appropriate for the particular nature of the business and the use cases for which the AI solution has to be built upon. So that is one point of it, right? At most of the times, and if you see some of the research report which also came in, right? So AI gives you certain predictions, certain results which has to be consumed by the organizations, right? At many times it may not be self-explanatory. The results may not be self-explanatory, right? And it requires a lot of effort, to understand what exactly the recommendations, or what exactly the prediction which is coming from the AI, right? And how that has to be implemented to the organization, how that has to be understood, and how that has to be basically read about, and how that has to be leveraged in the organization. So some effort is required on that direction, and that has to be, you need right set of people to understand those, and then accordingly that has to be implemented into the organizations, right? So that is second critical aspect in my opinion. Third part is always the customer readiness and customer willingness to adopt the solutions, right? Many of the times organizations feels that AI, they are not ready for leveraging the AI, or some of the employees at times thinks that by adopting the AI they will have certain challenges, or certain at times they feel that that will cut their job, right? So it's always also understanding the benefits which is coming from the AI solution, how that can be leveraged. So preparing a mindset for leveraging the AI technology into their particular business is very, very important, right? And lastly, there are other areas where for example, at many of the times AI gives you biased results, right? So how you will identify that it will not be biased, and it will give you the appropriate result which you would like to leverage into your business function, right? And these biasness could be anything, right? It could be gender bias, it could be racial in nature, right? So and because ultimately as a human we are training some of the AI models, right? So we'll have to train the model so that we can eliminate some of these bias into the models, etc., right? So in a nutshell, these 3 or 4 areas, starting with data adoption, then conclusions, etc. And last part is talent, right? So AI, particularly, you should have good talent available within your organization, especially in terms of data science part of it, AI engineer, data scientists, AI engineers, and data engineers, etc., who will understand data better, worked on the data to make it more adaptive to the AI models, then write the AI models which is more understandable, in the, which is able to identify and eliminate the biases, give you more accurate results which can be implemented into the business operations, and then you will get lots and lots of value coming in. So these 3-4 factors are more critical in my understanding for AI adoption into the organizations.
Yeah, I completely agree with them, Deepak. In fact, we did some research with EY a couple of years back, and similar thoughts came out. The technology and data, the number one hurdle. The second hurdle was ability to prove ROI that you mentioned, right? The business need and the business criticality. The third is around trust, ethics, and regulations, right? I mean, and this is something that people do not think of a lot. I mean, a lot of people think about trust, ethic, regulations only once they have deployed AI, rather than thinking ahead. And I think this is something which is absolutely critical for the adoption of AI. And the last but not the least is talent and culture. I mean, the usage of the people who drive it, and the culture, the organization mindset that needs to be different. I think these are important points, as you rightly pointed out. My next question is around risks and threats. So AI adoption, right, also poses some risks and some threats. What's your take on the regulations and policy adoption environment for AI?
Yeah, so as we know, right, AI generates a lot of benefit, right, a lot of business value, and at the same time, when you have benefits, at the same time, it also creates certain risk or certain serious consequences at certain point of time. One of the example we were talking in the previous question, right, biasness.
Yeah.
So gender biasness, or maybe the religion biasness, etc., depending on the way we train the models. So we'll have to be very cautious about the risk factor part of it. Some of the viable risks which we see, the first one is privacy violation, right? This is one area where we have to be very cautious about, and there are a lot of work which has to be done on to ensure that privacy is not violated for any person while collecting the data, while using the data, while leveraging the data part of it, right? And then you also have to, so there are a lot of solutions which is coming into the market which ensures your right, starting from data layer, the data governance, and the data security point of view, right? So organization builds that. As an organization, we are building certain solutions which sits on top of the data and ensures that the privacies and security of those things can be eliminated, so that we can eliminate one part of the risk. Then discrimination, some of the accidental or uses of the AI, manipulations, etc. As you know, right, that there are many areas which is areas where AI is being used for end-to-end automation. AI driven car or is one of the example, or driverless car, which we all know, right? One example, it is completely driven through AI. One simple mistake will can cause serious consequences in terms of accident, and maybe at times serious injury to people sitting into the car. There are similar natures of uses in the AI. In manufacturing, it is being used for various operations where, while it can eliminate certain consequences of, physical monitoring, AI is being used for automated quality inspections, etc., in the factory. But at the same time, if any small mistakes we had into the model, etc., it can create serious problem also. So there are various risk areas, and that's where we are seeing that not only government but in different enterprises also very cautious about this part of it, right? And it is very, very encouraging to see that there are several initiatives which is being undertaken by different level of government, right? Be it on the state, or be it on the central side of it, and also, as I mentioned, that on the private or academia level, where they are these different entities are gearing towards helping transforming India into a global leader into the AI side of it. And there are a lot of initiative which is coming in. One of them, if we talk about, is Niti Aayog's National Strategy on AI, which was released in 2018, which actually defines and focus on how AI will help in economic growth. It will help in doing the increase in the social inclusion. It will increase in the dialogue around matter of privacy, ethics, right? And then it will also bolster the industries, the way industries, grants is being given to the industries, how it will start supporting the startup ecosystem, right? And then how it will, how different government or organizations will collaborate in the industry at larger scale. You would be seeing these days that there are a lot of different academia is partnering with organizations like ours, or the on the similar types of organizations, jointly creating the COEs in the space of AI, right, to formulate the policies, to study on the ethical part of the AI adoption, and then how it can be leveraged, right? So and then at the same while all of these things are happening in parallel, there are lot many different types of universities or IITs, IIMs, etc. They are also kind of either partnering with industry, or they themselves are launching some of the AI research and development centers, COEs, etc. So that they come up with certain formulation of the policies, or maybe certain areas where AI solutions can help in solving a particular problem in particular space, or maybe help in the economic growth of the country, right, and also help into the that 5 trillion economy which you talked about, which is one of the plan Indian government has, right? So, and especially certain areas where, being in India, which we are facing transportation related issues, there are various universities or IITs which is working on solving transportation related issues using AI. We are seeing a lot of academia is who is working very particularly on solving some of the agriculture related problems, soil related problem, by leveraging AI. So I think these are the areas where you will see lots and lots of partnership coming in coming days.
Yeah, and I think the good part that you mentioned, and great to know that NEC is doing good work in this space, is that these are grassroots level problems from an India perspective, and that's where AI is being. And what we also believe that impactful AI programs, I mean, they actually bring together talent, they bring together data governance, risk management, management support, the ecosystem, big picture view, right? All these factors put together actually lead to very impactful AI programs. So I think as an organization, if we are planning something on those lines, we should keep in mind that these are multiple parameters that we will have to put in place to ensure proper effectiveness of our programs. My last question. So what I meant over here, Deepak, and thanks for pointing out. So we're looking for AI for good, right? I mean, AI for good has been something that many organizations are talking about. So what kind of contributions in this space, AI for good, have you seen by organizations, and where do you see this evolving? What does the future look like when it comes to AI for good?
Yeah. So particularly talking about AI era, right? We call it AI era. I think at least this decade, the way we are seeing the industry going on, let us internally within organization, we say that this is going to be AI era, right? So especially in India, we are seeing a huge potential and opportunity to leverage, looking at the scale we are in the country, the populations, and some of the unique strengths we have in terms of technology, the manpower, the data volume and data diversity, right? If you see country, and distribute it from different lenses, right? Then the kind of diversity we have, and then especially one thing which is very, very important is the talent pool, right? Which will make us a digitally inclusive society, right? Going forward, you might have seen some of the changes which is coming in, like the telco transformation which has happened in India, and then adoption of internet in India. At this point of time, more than 500 million people is taking benefit of it, and part of the digitally growing society, right? So that is one part of it. Second part, which is very, very important, is startup ecosystem. India is one of the country which has maximum startup in the world, right? And we are seeing these startup coming more and more. There are a lot of government-driven program which enables and which supports these startup ecosystem coming into, evolve quickly, come up with certain niche solution, and then we have witnessed some of the tremendous growth happening in India, right? The digital inclusion, the financial inclusion, the way society has changed, adopting cashless transactions. We have seen and we have witnessed some of the changes happened in the past on our the way transactions is being done, and versus the transaction is being done today. There is huge gap. We all are now internet savvy, and there are hardly few people who is still leveraging cash more than digital transactions, right? So the way these things are evolving, right? The way we are seeing that AI is helping different organization coming up with different sort of solution. The program which is coming from at government level, be it center or state government, right? And then adoption of AI into that. It looks like, it is going to be AI for good. AI will help in giving better grant to the people who is actually looking for those grant, be it even the startups. A lot of programs which is being executed by government at district level, village level, or state level, or the center level, right? Adoption of AI is creating more and more transparency there, right? And some of these is being can be considered as part of a AI for good, AI for all, right? Similarly, as an organization, we have a lot of focus into AI-driven economy, AI-driven solutions, right? And that's where we have a dedicated unit called AIPF, Artificial Intelligence Platform, which particularly work on developing the solution area, which keep these things in mind. The solutions which we are working on is more for people to leverage, people to use, and then get benefited of it, right? So, and we build these solutions for the convenience of the people. It can help on easing their life, some of the safeties, and also towards building an inclusive and fair societies. So that is the one of the main motto we have as part of organizational commitment as NEC, right? Some of the technology area where we have worked in is very, very different and unique, leveraging the NEC's proprietary AI solutions, be it into the smart cities, public safety solutions, health areas, or insurance sector. We are doing a lot of work into that space. As an organization, we have, while AI word is being into the space since 1950. As an organization, we have been investing on AI landscape since last 30 plus years, and that's where we are one of the key players across the world on the AI side of it. And one of the core theme which we have is developing some solution which is for society, right, which brings certain advantage to the society and help into the economic growth. So that's the motto we have, and that is where we as an organization we are contributing to the segment.
Thank you, Deepak. Great to know about the responsibility angle that NEC brings to the table in addition to the technical prowess. I, for one, am very bullish about India's use of AI in the near future. As you rightly pointed out, India has a lot of the building blocks of a vibrant AI ecosystem. Proliferation of academic institutions, the deep tech ecosystem in India, we counting about 3,000 startups, out of which about 60% of them have AI focused solutions. Strong focus on IP creation. India is ranked 8th when it comes to 8 AI patent filing, and 4th when it comes to AI research papers in the world. So I think tremendous amount of progress that India has made. There's a strong GCC ecosystem that you had also pointed out, and all these GCC, many of the leading GCCs, they have dedicated center of excellences for AI and ML. In fact, another interesting data point is that India is among the top destinations when it comes to data annotation and labeling services, and that we believe has a $7 to $8 billion potential business opportunity by 2030, and that's the building blocks for AI for usage across the world. And of course, talent is the most important part, right? I mean, India has an annual supply of 300 to 350K AI big data analytic professionals. Even though there is a gap, the demand is far higher, but I think India is scaling the gap pretty quickly. So on behalf of NASSCOM Insights and NASSCOM Events, thank you, Deepak, for your time. It was a very insightful discussion today. And I look forward to hearing more about NEC's AI-focused solutions as we go forward. And we also look forward to doing more sessions with you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.